There you go. All right, we're live. Here we go.
All
Google
right.
Hangout, Pauly and Teddy, Sports Bit Betting Insight today, every Thursday, 8 o'clock Pacific. We will go at 9 o'clock Pacific next week because there's no way you probably want to talk to us, and we want to talk to you while game one of the finals is going on. So that tips at 6 o'clock next week. So look for that coming up. Fire away with your questions, whatever you want to talk about. MLB, the finals are set. Major developments in New Jersey. College football week 1 lines came out today at the South Point. How are you, Theodore?
That's a lot of stuff going on. And now we thought about doing college football week 1 lines and really getting into that for a Friday show tomorrow. We decided to wait till Monday to get into the college football openers. They're virgin numbers. And quite frankly, I want to see what the markets do. I think it'll be a better segment if we wait until Monday and talk about where the opening, where the wise guys are pounding. And
we had a 6-point move.
Yeah, sure. No surprise there.
Yeah.
You know, the South Point, they're going to move really quickly off the money, and they're going to give us a good idea of what bettors are very interested in right off the get-go. So discussing that on Monday's show. For Friday's show, we're going to deep dive the New York Jets. But before we get into it tonight, Pauly, I want to ask some questions because we don't have a viewer survey. We don't have anything like that. But I do want to ask. You can answer on Twitter. You can answer here. You can answer questions here in the chat. You can come in and post responses to any of our videos over at SBR or on YouTube. But I do want to ask a couple of questions. Let's start with one. Sportsbit, the daily show, usually between 20 and 25 minutes long. Is that too long? Is that too short? Is it just right? Length of the show. Good, bad, needs to be longer, needs to be shorter. Just don't mess with it. Second question. What do you want to see more of or less of? There's basically 4 things we do on just about every show. We do betting recaps. We do bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. We do the big game breakdowns. We're analyzing, 1, 2, 3 games. They're going to take place either tomorrow or usually the next day. We do deep dives into various topics. This time of year, we're focused a lot on the NFL. And we do other betting stories, things like the court case in New Jersey, the legislation in D.C. today, the NFL versus the app betting in Las Vegas, the new overtime rules in the NFL this week. That's the 4 basic elements of the Daily Sportsbet Show. And I just want to know, you guys, what do you want more of? What do you want less of? That'll help us as we get ready for what's going to be, Pauly, season 3. We've had one. We started in February 2016, so we're a year and a half in. But as we gear up, obviously towards football season, we want to re-gear. We want to not to format the show by any stretch of the imagination, but we want to take advantage of the feedback we're getting from you, the viewers, as to what you want to see more or less of. So, thank you. That's a long blather if I ever heard one.
Well, the last thing it needs to be is longer.
I'm with you,
Yeah.
Well,
hey, Teddy, Mark wants to know what year's that picture from in the chat? 1885?
What picture I got up there?
On the screen, you got different color hair.
I don't even know where it is. Where's it at?
It's at the bottom of the screen. You don't have it?
I'm not seeing it. Oh, that picture. Oh, yeah, that is an old picture. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That's got to be that's more than a decade old. Absolutely. That's forever. Yeah, I should probably update that. I don't even know what it's from. It's got to be on my Google something. Okay. Good call. That does need to be updated. What else? Come on, let's make fun of me.
I hope you didn't have Celtics in the under tonight.
I did not have either one. I didn't touch the game. We talked about it on the show this morning, Pauly. It was a really hard game for me. I didn't. I was thinking maybe to take Boston, and then that Brad Stevens quote where he's like, "We just played as well the best half of basketball that we had in the postseason." I couldn't do it, and obviously, that was the right move. Yeah, so much for we got to play better for the home crowd. We didn't do well in games 1 or 2. No, the
third game in a row in Boston. The Celtics never let it home. By the way, third game in a row was over 5 minutes in.
Huh? But we saw that against the again. You think back to the end of the playoffs, something you saw at the beginning of the playoffs. But the one that stood out to me of the 2 games, game 2 against the Bulls, not game 1. Game 1, hey, they got rondoed a little bit. It happened. Game 2, where you're supposed to put your foot down on someone and say, hey, we're going to step up. Boston didn't do it there, and obviously that home court advantage didn't translate very much to the Eastern Conference Finals.
All right, what do you think? Game 1 a week from tonight, 6 o'clock Pacific.
I think it's too long. I think the waiting a week is too long.
Well, they can't move it.
I know.
What are they going to do? So series price open $260 at the Westgate. I talked to Jay Cornegay, who runs the book. A lot of different numbers from the guys in the back room. Some guys made it $240, some guys $260. One guy made it as high as $340 on the Warriors. But as you said before the show, the Cavs kicking their ass again certainly helped too lower that number.
Though, again, right now, bettable numbers. At Station Casinos here in Vegas, Warriors are minus 330, Cavs are plus 250.
Wow, that's Stations?
Yeah, that's at Stations. At Westgate, it's minus 260 plus 220. Offshore, what are we looking at? Bet Chris number, the bookmaker number, minus 280 plus 230. And again, we talked about this, how my number was short across the board. I was thinking minus 240 on Golden State. And the part of me was thinking minus $2 on Golden State. That minus 240 might be a little bit high. But, at least we have a range now. The markets are settling in. And, of course, remember that hook that was there? We were talking about the opening numbers on today's show early this morning. Pauly was out 7.5, 225. The 225 still there. All those 7.5s are gone. That's down to 7, in part because the Cavs looked so good last night. People will bet the last thing they remember. And the last thing they remember is Cleveland blowing the shit out of Boston. And, of course, the Cavs have covered covered or pushed every game on the road in the postseason this year. So that, too, factored into that, taking the hook from 7.5 down to 7.
Early thoughts. What do you think? I thought the Zach Lowe podcast yesterday was terrific. The Celtics have attempted 34 threes per game in the series. 27 of the 34 have been wide open. They're just missing wide open shots, just like Toronto did as well. Remember the Pacers? The Pacers should have won 2 of the first 3 games of that series against Cleveland. Open 3 is considered 4 to 6 feet. Uncontested, wide open is 6 feet or more. They also had plenty of those. So 27 of the 34 threes that Boston was shooting were either open or wide open. His point, and Brian Windhorst's point, was you can get away with that against Toronto and Boston. Golden State will bury you if you do that.
I agree. I mean, the Cavs are fighting an uphill battle. Look, this is, of the 3 Cleveland teams over the last 3 years, this is the best one. Would you agree, Pauly?
The team last year was really good. I'm not sold on Williams and Korver. They can't defend. This team stinks defensively.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the team last year was better.
Delly was better. Dellavedova was better at the backup point, than Darren Williams. Kevin Love's playing at a level this year that he wasn't. Kyrie Irving's playing at a level.
Brought in, Teddy can't defend. That's the problem. Everyone they brought in can score. They were the second worst defensive team in the league post All-Star break.
That's a million years ago now.
No, it's not. They didn't defend against Indiana.
You're going to tell me that what?
I just told you the Celtics got whatever they wanted. They couldn't make it not.
I don't disagree with that. However, second half of the season NBA stats, and we saw again Boston, Cleveland. The Celtics were -4 the last week of the regular season. Now Cleveland's -10. You understand? The Cavs are power rated in a different place now, so I'm not really worried about what they were doing 2 weeks after the All-Star break. They're a different team now than they were at the beginning of the playoffs.
Hello, Isaiah Thomas was hurt. That's a
I know. I'm not.
Don't tell me this defense is fixed. That's bullshit.
I'm not telling you.
Don't
you
tell
haven't
me
even
this
let me.
defense is fixed because teams can't make wide open shots.
You're getting all fired up on this. You haven't even let me get to my initial point.
Go ahead.
All right. My whole point of this whole thing is that I think this Cleveland team is as good or better than either of the teams of the last 2 years. And I think that Golden State would be 3-0 in the finals in those matchups if Draymond Green doesn't get suspended last year. The Cavs come back. The Warriors were clearly the better team, way better after Kyrie Irving got hurt. What's that?
And they chased the record, and by doing so, they ran out of gas.
Yes.
And Curry was hurt.
Yes. Yeah, they weren't. They weren't healthy. And look, this finals too could change if any of the key players get banged up. But for as good as this Cleveland team is, the Warriors are a notch or two better. That's why they're $3 favorites. That's why they're -7 in one. And -7 in game one tells us that, the Cavs could easily be pick 'em or home dogs.
Well, they're the Michael Jordan Bulls. They're power rated to the moon. They're also 27-1 in their last 28. And how about this stat? Since when all the 4 All-Stars are playing together, their last loss was early February.
Yeah, I saw that.
How about that, too?
Yeah.
Now,
That's one of those, it's a misleading stat because they weren't all healthy and didn't play a bunch of games down the stretch. But that is true. They have not lost since February, and they've been, in terms of a points per game differential, pretty solid. This is as well as, obviously, we've seen Golden State. This is the best Cleveland's played all year. I think it's the best the Warriors have played all year as well, where there was a lot of Curry good, Durant bad, Durant good, Curry bad over the first half of the campaign as those guys were learning how to play with each other. And I think there's much more comfortable in that regard here in the postseason. Obviously, they haven't lost a game yet.
Because good is done, they are much better this year. I assume you're talking about Golden State. I agree. Brian Windhorst called them the best team he's ever seen. And he was around for the Jordan Bulls. Ralphie likes Golden State in 5. Thor Marino, Golden State's Thor Marino. Golden State's by far better regular season. Cleveland's the more physical team, and the refs let them play like they will last year. They got a shot. I don't doubt that. I want to see like Eric Torres pointing out. I got to see these matchups. Who's going to be on KD? What's Mike Brown going to do with his bench rotation? What is Tyronn Lue going to do? Is Steve Kerr coming back? Remember, Kerr didn't play Fry in Game 4. For whatever reason, Korver didn't take a shot in 20 minutes of Game 4. Korver can't guard you, Teddy. There's a lot of different matchups to exploit here. And
Korver can guard me.
No. The other thing,
have you ever seen me jump?
You
ever seen my vertical?
Cut it out. The Golden State bench, too. Now, Ian Clark, McCaw, Clark's a nice player. But I'm not sure about West and some of these other guys. It's easy to make a shot when you're up 3-0 in the series and you're blowing a team out. What do you do when the series is tied at 1, or the series is 2-1 in the NBA Finals and it's a tight game in the fourth quarter? Then we'll see what some of these guys are made of, like McCaw and Ian Clark and even McGee, who I like and is giving them some great minutes. Something that's not getting talked about, and obviously undefeated, and they're going for the record to tie the record in Game 1. George Hill got hurt. Nurkic got hurt. You mentioned this. Kawhi got hurt. Lee got hurt. Parker got hurt. They've had everything's gone their way with these breaks.
Every one of them
playing and who's getting hurt, but they're awesome.
Yeah, but so in terms of my general strategy going into the series, Pauly, and you're right about everything is broken right for both of these teams to get where they are, and none of their opponents were at full strength, really, at any point in these series. None of them. But my general thought process is, boy, I want to be taking points. I don't want to be laying points in this series. Don't you think, Pauly? I think that there's a lot of love for the Warriors. I see it in the chat. I don't disagree. I think Golden State wins the series. And in general, you want to be betting on the team who's going to win the series, on the team who's going to be winning the game. But in this series, I'm expecting – we haven't seen any competitive basketball in the postseason. It's been as bad a postseason as I ever remember seeing. A remarkable finals, a competitive finals will go a long way towards erasing that memory. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see competitive games, even though I think the Warriors probably have the edge late. So my general thought is I'm looking to take points, not lay them. And what about totals-wise, Pauly? You can get over some of these 225s that we're looking at right now?
So Matt Humans wrote an article on this at VSiN. He ran looking at all the numbers last year. So the total's 225. They played a 7-game series last year. None of them hit 220. That's something to consider. Game 1, Game 2, Game 3 were all blowouts. Remember, I think Game 2 was like 113-77. It was the
that was the whole thing with last year. For a great series, the individual games, a lot of non-competitive games. Yeah.
No, the first 3 games were all routes. And then Golden State won by double digits on the road in Game 4, and then Green got suspended. And then you had a close game in Game 6 and Game 7. And clearly, why Golden State ran out of gas. Game 7 was 93-89. They couldn't make a shot. And they were relying on the 3, too. How concerned are you with Klay Thompson? He's played 1 good game in the playoffs.
Not concerned at all.
Okay.
How concerned are you?
Level 10? a level 10. He's played one good game.
Right. The Warriors are 12-0 straight up. And what are they against the spread? What are they, 9-3? Or I mean, they've been making, and Klay Thompson hasn't even played a good game yet. So
they're going to need him.
How can you say you're worried, that you're DEFCON 10 about Klay Thompson being worried, when all they've done is cover numbers regardless of his success? Look at you. What's wrong with you tonight? You're all grumpy and snotty. Where's this coming from?
Okay, we can agree that.
Dude, did you look at that look? That was a killer look right there.
Golden State got the benefit of all these injuries. The two best teams are now playing. I need everyone to play well if I'm gonna win the championship. I'm not gonna win if Klay Thompson can't hit a shot.
You just told me the Cavs can't guard anybody, and that Cleveland was incredibly lucky to win the title last year, and that Golden State is way, way better than they are. So why are we so worried about Klay Thompson? Klay Thompson didn't lose his ability to make an open shot over the course of the last month. With any NBA player.
It certainly looks like that when he's played well in one game. It's a confidence thing, too. They have to get him going. And also, because of that Mickey Mouse lineup that Mike Brown puts out there to start the second quarter, if that buffoon continues to sit Curry and Durant at the same time, that lineup is Green, it's Thompson, it's Clark, and West. And who's the only shooter on the floor? Thompson. Guess what? He can't make a shot. LeBron will run that lineup
with two All-Stars.
He'll run that lineup out of the gym.
Your buffoon lineup with two All-Stars in it. You know, I mean, you got to rest guys. You got to get guys. And if you're going to do it at the start of the second quarter. Obviously,
you got to rest guys. You don't sit. You have two of the five best players in the league on the same team. You don't sit them at the same time.
He's so grumpy tonight. Look. So grumpy.
Shit.
Look at, he's rolling his eyes at me. He's pouting. I love it. Look at that glare. Come on, let's have fun with this. You're so grumpy.
Cleveland's not too physical. I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah, they were physical against Boston because Boston couldn't do anything.
Yeah. You got to worry about McGee and Zaza and some of these other guys. Tristan Thompson won't be Superman in this series. I can tell you that. How about this? We can bet on Finals MVP now in Vegas.
Yeah, there's a. What do you think?
I think. Wow, there's no value. It's Durant, Curry, and LeBron. Kyrie at 10-1 could be something. I would take a look at Kyrie 10-1. Other
no
than
argument.
That, no.
No, I mean that would be the one. But again, Cleveland's got to win the series for Kyrie to win that award, and that isn't always happening. We got some great tweets this week. I want to talk about Big Lake Show. Eric Torres, saying that Eric Humphrey too at EM Hump. The show is ahead of its time, and this is info fans want to know. It should be televised on any of the sports networks. Thanks. At Pauly Howard. That was directed specifically to you. Big Lake Show agreed. What do you think, Pauly? Is this show ahead of it? The sports bet ahead of its time? Should we be on one of the big networks? I like being online. That way we can say fuck when we want to.
And I like how Fox Sports continues to piss money away with the programming they put on there and give guys $5-6 million a year that no one's watching.
For a 0.1 rating? For a
0.1 rating in 47 markets. Yeah, right. Right. People can see through that stuff. I know. Can you imagine the places we could go if New Jersey gets their way?
Well, Jersey's, what's happened in the Supreme with the case, it doesn't look like it's going to go to Supreme Court. It'd be extremely unlikely for it to go to Supreme Court. So now what happened today is we've got movement in D.C. We've got legitimate legislative movement, bills being introduced. We're going to break it all down on tomorrow's Sports Bet. Be sure to watch. That's a lead story on the show, because when you have movement in D.C., Pauly, that's meaningful. Even though, again, I will continue to take the over on, you say, when's it going to be legalized and regulated here in the USA?
I like the nuclear option, though. Blow it up. Omaha 8080 would play Klay Thompson on the second unit as well. He has been playing him on the second unit. The problem I have is I'd put Durant out there. He's quick to put Durant back out when the other team makes a run, which is stupid. Get him out there to begin with. All right, that's on the NBA Finals. Any of your questions, MLB? Guy wanted to know how much you rely on your knowledge or advanced metrics in baseball.
That's a good question. The answer is it's that. One of the things I love about the concept of sports betting, for me, and again, there are people out there that are all numbers. It's all advanced metrics. Where the number pumps out, that's what you spit out, that's what you bet. Most of the baseball betting markets are based in that regard. There are other guys, it's all eye test. What you see, they don't look at a number all year. And that's the way they make their wagers. I like to do both. I'm not a guy who can pigeonhole me into this is what kind of better Teddy is. Teddy's a dog better. Teddy's advanced metric better. What I like to, if you say what my number one strategy, my betting MO has got to be looking for advanced metric numbers that are telling lies, looking for the stats that aren't making sense when it comes to the eye test in terms of watching these games. And that's, I guess, how I would characterize my personal strategy and philosophy towards handicapping. But everyone's got to find a system that works for themselves. That's just the one that I've developed over the years. And it's always, Pauly, in terms of systems that I do it this way, it's always morphing. Season to season, year to year, you have to change with the markets or you get in big trouble and lose a bunch of money fairly quickly.
Because good is dumb, where's value for the World Series future bet? Do you see any value? A lot of surprises so far. We're into June next week. Diamondbacks playing well. Rockies, Twins are in first place, 14-5 on the road.
Let me look at some World Series futures odds because I haven't done that in a couple of weeks. Let me just.
The Cardinals 20-1. He thinks the Cardinals are 20-1. That's not bad. Good starting pitching. They're beating the Dodgers again. I like Arizona to win the division.
Good. They're updated numbers.
At plus that high. Wow.
St. Louis. You can find them at 20-1 at 5 dimes. That appears to be on the high side. I got them plus 1,500 at the Greek. But anywhere in that range on St. Louis. And that's certainly, again, I'm not a big fan of the I'm a grinder. I'm not looking for the big score. I don't want the 20-1 shot. I'd rather make a profit every day all year or many of the days all year. But St. Louis at 20-1 is probably a team that offers some value, even though knowing it's going to be hard for them to win that division. The Cubs are going to be there.
Who cares?
All said and done.
They don't have to. Just get in.
I'm a Rockies believer, but the value's already been taken out of them. I'm an Astros believer. Boy, you have to shop around to find a good price on Houston and teams with better numbers. I'm a Dodgers believer. There hasn't been a good number on the Dodgers since the beginning. Long shot. What about the Brewers? What do you think of Milwaukee? Maybe a Milwaukee or an Arizona?
Arizona, yes, not the Brewers.
Why not? I like the front office. I like the moves they've made. What about Minnesota? How about a team? How about there's a team worth talking about?
I threw them out there. I just said, they're 14-5.
Okay, there you go. I wasn't listening. You're yap. I don't know.
Good rotation. Santana's lighting it up. I don't know.
Well, it's a defense. We talked about the Cubs' defensive decline. The Twins' defense is the other end of the spectrum. Their defense is unbelievable, and it's helping to make mediocre pitchers look good on a nightly basis. Yeah,
because good is dumb. Dodgers still can't hit lefties. They can't do a lot of things. I'm concerned about who's getting the ball to Jansen. Rich Hill can only go 5 innings with that blister. He got roughed up the other night. Wood's been terrific. He goes tomorrow. We'll talk about that. But they could take off too. But that's a good division. Giants, what a big disappointment. Biggest disappointment in baseball, I would say, so far. I'm waiting for the Indians to take off. They're struggling too. I thought they swept the Astros on the road, but still.
And it didn't last. They swept the Astros on the road and then went to Cincinnati and got slapped around a little bit. And then Cody Allen blew one. So I got Cleveland and Chicago will be there. Those are teams that we don't worry. Like the Nats are going to be there. The Dodgers are going to be there. They're all teams that are for sure going to be there down the stretch, barring a nasty barrage of injuries. And all those teams, even if they're below 500, they'll all be buyers at the trading deadline. And if you're looking at MLB futures, the number one factor that I'm concerned about is this team a buyer or seller at the deadline? Because the seller teams aren't going anywhere. And the buyer team, even if they're not playing well at the time, has a potential to go on a big second half run.
Who's going to get
about a couple more minutes here? What's it?
Who's going to get Sonny Gray? Be a big time acquisition for somebody.
Is Oakland going to? Is he a name that's been bandied about?
Yeah, they're going to move him.
Yeah, because the whole thing, like someone's asking me, well, so-and-so's been on the DL for 10 weeks. You've been tracking his progress? It's like, no. The MLB trade rumors, do you follow them? No. What I'm interested in, who's playing today, who's playing tomorrow? Maybe who's playing the next day. But literally, that's where my focus and my research goes, is not obtuse stuff that I can't use until somewhere down the line. I'd much rather spend my time focused. This is a good way. This is going to make me money today, tomorrow, the next day, as opposed to, where's Sonny Gray going to go? I don't know where Sonny Gray is going to go. He'll help somebody. What else we got?
Omaha wants to know about DeGrom tomorrow on the road against Pittsburgh. DeGrom pushed back a day because of the weather in New York today.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden the Pirates have come to life a little bit offensively. They've actually been winning weekday games this week, but it's a game that we don't have a line on. And for me, I don't even begin my handicap, like the games that are on a line the night before. I don't even look at them till the next morning because my handicap begins with the opening price and the initial price. And that's what I'm going to get is do I feel like this number is right, or is there perhaps some value there? So I'm sorry I can't give you a good handicap on that.
All right.
But I can.
We're a minute away from going to double overtime in Game 7.
Wow, that's exciting.
Wow. You're going to push the total. This is weird. Pittsburgh scored. Ottawa answered right back. Pittsburgh scored again. Ottawa answered a few minutes later. 2-2, a minute left in overtime. Wow, this is something. All right, next week, 9 o'clock Pacific.
Yes.
After Game 1 of the finals.
Yes.
Get in here. Tell your friends. We'll recap Game 1. We'll look at Game 2. Who knows what's going to happen. It'll be a lot of fun. And continue to watch the show. We've started NFL team previews. We'll do some college football next week as well. Sound good? Sound like a plan?
That sounds like a great plan, Pauly. It's always good to see you smiling and happy and enjoying life, my friend. We'll see you on the show tomorrow. We'll see you right here in the chat next week.
Okay, thanks.